I mean, I knew when I went down, if something happened to the submersible, that was it. Even if it just got stuck, I didn't think there was any way. I knew there was 96 hours of air. I didn't think there was any way that any other type of submersible or any ship with some sort of way to attach something to us would be able to pull us up. So
Can you tell me about the experience you had?
I had been thinking about it for over 13 years. I had been planning to go originally on the Russian submersibles in 2010, 11, or 12, all of which had trips that were canceled. And then supposedly in 2019, when Titan was first finished and it was being tested, but it had not been able to be tested enough at depth. So those dives were scrubbed. And then the pandemic came along in 2020, and I was fortunate to be on the first summer of actual trips to the Titanic in 2021.
What was your take when you actually went down there and saw the shipwreck?
I was so excited. Just the process. I tell people, even if I just been going down to see a fish on the bottom, just the experience of going with a company as professional as Ocean Gate, going down 12,500 feet in the largest submersible ever made, to be able to go to that depth. That was just an experience in itself. So I was thrilled every minute I was on that submersible, which was more than 10 hours, four of it being on the bottom. I didn't feel any fear, maybe because of my excitement, maybe because I've done some things in the past that are a little bit dangerous. And I just was excited every minute I was in that submersible filming, both outside through the viewport and a little bit inside of the five of us inside, which included, of course, Stockton, the pilot.
So what is the process like to be able to be on that submersible?
Obviously, it was expensive, but it was less than half of what they are quoting now because I was grandfathered in from 2019, rather. So the process is you have to have a physical. You have to be able to go up and down ladders and not be claustrophobic, hopefully. And you have to sign a very long waiver. And I've read, even though I don't remember it, how it mentions the word death three times on the first page. I have read, I don't remember that. And then you have to be accepted. And I don't know if they ever turned anybody down, but I was accepted and ready to go.
Now, I hear that you might have known one of the victims that was on the submersible with this trip.
I knew two of the victims, Stockton, the pilot. I didn't know him before I went on the trip, even though I'd read about him a great deal when I first signed up in 2019. Obviously, I got to know him on the trip, not as well as some of the other people on the trip got to know him, but we always ate together, and he did a lot of presentations about previous trips in their other submersibles and so on. And then PH, the French expert who had been on the Titanic more than 35 times, spoke a lot. He was not in the submersible on my particular dive. He was the next day with the three other men who got to go down. So I got to know them just through stories they told. I'm not sure I really sat next to them and exchanged personal stories with them that much, but they both just loved talking about what they were doing.
How long does it take to get down to the Titanic?
It takes approximately 2.5 hours if you're going without using the boosters, and they usually don't use the boosters going down because of the limited battery power. So you're sinking by pure weight, and the way they have it weighed, it takes about 2.5 hours to go down, and then once you drop the weights, you drop just enough weight, so it'll take about 2.5 hours to come back up. Which is why when they lost communication with the Titan, they didn't notify, the Coast Guard right away because they thought, well, something had gone wrong, but they would drop the weights and come right back up. And when that didn't happen actually, I think it was like 5 hours they waited, then they knew something was wrong. So it's 2.5 hours down, about 4 hours on the bottom for me near the stern and in the debris field, not at the bow, and 2.5 hours back up. Plus, it takes about a half hour to an hour to launch the submersible from the support ship, and almost that long to pick it up at the end. So it's a good long day. You start early in the morning, so you get back in the middle of the afternoon.
Now, did you guys have food down there for those 10 hours, water, or what were you allowed to bring with?
We were allowed to bring a sandwich, as I recall, I think maybe a bag of chips, and I remember a bag of almonds that was passed around because I spilled some of them, which they joked about because they found them the next day too. When that group went down, some of them were still in the Titan. I think just one bottle of water. I've been asked before if there was a lot more water stored somewhere on the submersible, and I don't know the answer to that. There were little cubbies with doors around us, and I know one of them had oxygen masks in it. Another one had a curtain to be pulled across if somebody used a rudimentary toilet right in front, which actually was used on our particular trip. And so I don't know what else was on the submersible. Nobody ever said that there was, 5 days of water or anything like that. So if the five divers or the five passengers had survived, I don't think they would have had very much to eat or drink when they were down there. And it would have been very, very cold.
And what are your thoughts after hearing today that this group didn't survive their trip?
Well, I was not surprised. I figured, I mean, I knew when I went down, if something happened to the submersible, that was it. Even if it just got stuck, I didn't think there was any way. I knew there was 96 hours of air. I didn't think there was any way that any other type of submersible or any ship with some sort of way to attach something to us would be able to pull us up. So I figured right from the beginning, but I didn't want to say it very much because everyone wanted to hope that the five men were still alive.
Based on your experience, what do you think happened?
Well, as I say, just everything I've been reading now, whether it was the viewport, everyone calls it a porthole, but portholes normally open. So this one certainly didn't open, even though it was part of the dome that opened. I don't know, since they've already found that, if that is what gave way. I know a lot of people are saying that that was maybe the weak point, or if there was something else. But as you know, it had not been tested as much as maybe it should have. There was a lot of controversy from other people about whether it was safe to go continuously down to that depth. And I don't know, I'm not a marine archaeology or architect expert, but just something happened to make it implode, and everybody would be gone in a split second, which is a blessing.
David, is there anything else that you would like to share with us or that we didn't touch on, either from your experience or how you're feeling about this group not making it back?
Well, I just hope that creative men and visionaries like Stockton keep thinking of new ways to do things, new opportunities, life-changing experiences for so many of us. I hope that continues. I have a feeling nobody's going to be going down in a submersible to the Titanic for a long, long time unless they're doing some sort of research. But I was so impressed with Ocean Gate and everything they did to make this trip what I thought was safe and very exciting for all of us. I hope that continues, not with Ocean Gate, but with other people having the same visions.
Would you do it again?
Well, I would not do it knowing now more about the testing problems at the beginning. But I'm not saying, obviously, I wouldn't do it again knowing what happened. But if I had known more about what the controversy about it in 2018 and 2019 from some real experts who thought it was not a safe submersible, no, I would not do it.